Live from the Xfinity Studios at WVON. You're listening to Stats and Stilettos.
Talk with Chicago, 1690 WVON, Stats and Stilettos. How you doing tonight, everybody? I'm Farouk Basir.
I am Ty Eileen.
And Maya Kai.
And that was indeed a manslaughter laid on the Tennessee Titans today by the Chicago Bears, a 51-20 final. We will get into that with our guest here coming up shortly, Jim Rose from ABC7 Chicago. The phone number here at the station is 773-591-1690. That is 773-591-1690. Give us a call, comment on some of the stuff we'll be talking about tonight. You can listen to the show online at WVON.com. Click on the iHeartRadio app and listen to us crystal clear right there. You can also follow the show on Twitter at
Stilettos.
You guys are back tonight. And you can also like our Facebook page as well now. Like I said, joining us right now, he is a sports anchor from ABC7 here in Chicago, Jim Rose. Let's talk about the Bears. What's going on, Jim?
Good evening. How y'all doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. Now, the Bears with a big win today, 51-20. I saw some of your tweets today, Jim. And you were laying into the offense pretty heavily, man. But
at the beginning, they deserved it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. But give us your overall assessment of the game today and the season up to this point.
Well, the defense gets an A+ because they've been carrying this football team. I mean, they set the table for what the offense was able to do today. I mean, look at all those turnovers. Peanut Tillman is the defensive player of the year in the NFL without a doubt, and Lance Briggs is probably second. But did you see old man Urlacher get that in there?
The slow motion
touchdown. But wait a minute. The coverage he was given on Chris Johnson, on the play that kind of caught him off guard. I mean, in all phases of the game, everybody played really well.
Urlacher's 34 years old. He caught that ball. He got about the 10-yard line and was like, come on, Brian, come on, hurry up, get in there. But anyway, back to reality here. I mean, the offense is going to have to play much better than they did. Even they admit that. If this team is to go anywhere. All right, now, the first half of the season's over. As Lovie Smith says, the first two quarters of the season over, they're 7-1. They've got the second-best record in the NFL. They're the number 2 seed in the NFC behind Atlanta. They're 7-0, but they're tied with Dallas right now, 6-6. So pull for Dallas. Atlanta loses, and the Bears will be the top team in the league. Now, the next 8 games, 7 of those 8 games, they play against teams that have winning records. That's the problem. They got Houston next week, and Houston is the third-ranked team in the NFL right now, number 1 in the AFC. After that, they've got to go to San Francisco to take on a red-hot San Francisco 49ers team. After that, they host Minnesota. Minnesota, at the beginning of the season, I thought was going to be a slouch. They're not a slouch. After that, they'll host Seattle. The Seahawks are playing very well out there in the NFC West. After that, they are at Minnesota. Then they host Green Bay. That's the game of the year. That's called revenge factor on the 16th of December. Then they finish up on the road at Arizona and at Detroit. I see them being 12-4.
Jim, do you think a lot of this has to do with, obviously, what the Bears have this season is they put together an offense that obviously have no real track record together. I mean, obviously Cutler had a history with Brandon Marshall in Denver, but this is a new season here in Chicago. Earl Bennett seems to get into the mix here and there when he's healthy, but do you think part of this is this new installment really hasn't played together, and this is where they're having the issues and trying to find some form of synchronicity overall?
No. Their issue is from tackle to tackle. The best offensive lineman they have on that team is Roberto Garza. Thank goodness he's at center. They still have an issue at both the tackle positions and at one of the guard positions. Lance Lewis is a pretty good guard, but you need 5 guys from tackle to tackle for this thing to go correctly. They got one of the best quarterbacks in the league, even though he's down as far as the quarterback ratings are concerned. I'll take Jay Cutler over any quarterback in the league. They have one of the best running backs in the league in Matt Forte. He's probably about 13th on the list now for NFL running backs. And they've got one of the best wide receivers in football. Those are the 3 key players that you need. They have them. The problem is you're not getting Cutler enough protection. Last week, Cutler was sacked 6 times. Arguably, he could be blamed for 2 of those sacks because he should have gotten rid of the football. But I like the way this kid from Vanderbilt plays because he's a gunslinger, and you need to have that. I don't want a game manager. I want a guy who's going to risk it, who's going to put it on the line. He's a tough kid. He's a tough individual. He takes some hellacious hits, and that offensive line needs to block better for him.
It's funny you say that, because when I was listening to Brian Billick commentating the game, they made the comment that being that the defense was obviously dominating the game, obviously getting the Bears on the boards, that Cutler should play to that, which means they were almost saying that he should be a game manager opposed to trying to get the offense on the field and make something happen. And I think that's a dangerous mindset to have. You may have a defense that can get things done, but the offense has to be able to put points on the board.
Girl, you know your football. I agree with you 100%. I don't want a game manager, because at some point in the season, they're going to need that offense to win a game or two for them. You cannot rely on this defense to win every game, even though it's the best defense in the league right now. Peanut Tillman is spectacular. I mean, he's playing great football. Tim Jennings is leading the league in interceptions. Urlacher, even on those last legs he's got, and then Lance Briggs. Their front four is playing fantastic football to put pressure on the quarterback. So, their defense is probably going to get them there, but their offense is going to have to win one or two games that are going to be key games for them to get to the Super Bowl.
Now, leading into next week's game against another team that's 7-1, like you said, and it will be at home.
Yeah.
What do you feel like will make that a successful? Like if they come out and they win and they do everything that we want them to do, can we breathe a little bit easier with the games coming up after that?
No, because, see, San Francisco, they're going to have to play San Francisco by the Bay. And Jim Harbaugh, who used to be with the Bears, has got a pretty good football team there. I mean, they're the number one defense overall in the league. They've probably got one of the best defenses against the pass, even though the Bears are the number one defense against the run. The Bears can stop the run, so they'll be able to do something with Frank Gore. It is that offense doing what they do best against a credible defense like the 49ers have. And that's going to be the problem 2 weeks from now. Next week, Houston's a good football team. I mean, right now they have the best record in the AFC, and they're probably the top team in the AFC. But now Houston's going to play a team that's just as good as they are, and they're going to have to come into Soldier Field on a Sunday night. Now, before the season began, I picked the Bears to be 12-4. I picked them to be 7-1 at this point. I picked them to win 6 in a row. I picked them to lose against Green Bay. So right now I'm 8-0. I picked them to beat Houston but lose to San Francisco. Now that might flip-flop. They might lose to Houston and beat San Francisco. But the big key game again is going to be the one against Green Bay.
All right, Jim. Well, we appreciate you taking some time out of your busy schedule to join us tonight. Thanks a lot.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
All right, more Stats and Stilettos after this.
Welcome back to Stats and Stilettos. Got a comment? Call the show 773-591-1690 or leave a comment on our Twitter page @StatsStilettos.
Welcome back to Stats and Stilettos, WVON 1690. Just got off of the phone with Jim Rose from ABC7 to basically give us a rundown of the Bears up to this point and what can we expect for the rest of the season. So, just basically wondering, when can we say they are who we wanted them to be?
But what did he say that they always say that this team hates to hear? The likes of having receivers that are respective of Willie Gault and Dennis McKinnon. And in saying that, I'm going to have to drop these stats out there because I think it's interesting. Of course, when Fox did their whole thing today, they were talking about how this Bears defense is so closely related to the 1985 Bears. And they gave numbers like at this same time during the season, the 85 Bears had 24 takeaways to, at that time, what was this team's 23. Defensive touchdowns, only 1, whereas this team had 6. Now, this is obviously before the game started. Obviously, that number went up. By the way, 9 takeaways or pick sixes is the NFL record in a season. So they're pretty much like what? Like
2. They're 2 behind now.
They're 2 behind at this point.
And we still have
8 games left.
8 games left. Rushing yards allowed, 87 yards was 85 Bears to 78 yards are being allowed with this team. Sacks, 28-23 for the 2012. And then, just points allowed, roughly 15 to 14.3. I mean, I know they don't like to hear that comparison, but you get compared to greatness. That's just the bottom line.
And unfortunately for us, all we have is 1985
and one stat
Super
they
Bowl
put, and actually,
champion.
one stat they put on the screen that I had to cringe, and I looked at my dog and I wanted to kick her across the room, but I refrained.
What did the dog do to you?
It was the stat on the screen that made me angry, and I didn't want to break my nice big, 72-inch TV. So the dog is the other option. It went across the screen about winning Bears coaches. Of course, Papa Bear Hallis is up there. Something ridiculous. The number I just totally patched that out because we know that he's a winning coach of all time. Mike Ditka had
The
like
coach.
the coach 112.
Guess who's third?
Lovie Smith 80. And it pains me
Yes.
to say that because I'm not really a Lovie Smith fan.
All right, let's go around the league.
What's going on, everybody? This is Damon Spruiel, moderator of Around the League. Very heated discussion before I hopped in here. My 2 cents.
Okay.
Mike Tice, he's not an offensive coordinator. He's not a good play caller. They need a real play caller. Maybe Jerry Mason come in and actually call plays. The offense might work a little bit better.
Color was yelling at him today. Controversy of the week.
I beg to differ on that because I think putting him in that role was probably the best case scenario because if anybody understands what are the issues the O-line has, it's Mike Tice, and he's not going to make them work against what their weaknesses are. So for right now, that was the best transition I think you make. I'm not saying it's the permanent solution, but he knows exactly what the O-line can and cannot do. Whereas Martz refused to accept that.
Right.
He's like, I'm going to make you do this anyways. And that was an issue.
All right. Well, I'm kind of with you all, too. The offensive line is probably the biggest detriment. This is Damon Spruiel, once again, a moderator around the league. You can follow me at Demonze1, DEMONZE1. And let's go ahead. Yes, that's right. Let's go ahead and hop into these games. First game I want to talk about, very interesting. Indianapolis 23, Miami 20. Andrew Luck is getting down, y'all. 30 for 48, 433 yards, 2 touchdowns. Donnie Avery had 108 yards for the Colts. Ryan Tannehill, 22 for 38. 290 yards, 1 touchdown, and Brian Hartline had 107 yards for the Dolphins. But Andrew Luck, 5-3, I thought they was going to be the joke, honestly, of the league, coming with an NFL rookie quarterback. But they're looking really, really good. And can you possibly say, no, it's 8 games left, but can you say Colts in playoffs?
Be lucky if they win another game.
No, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that. I'd have to look at the rest of the schedule to see who they're matched up against. I'd have to see that. So I can't say.
Well, they play Jacksonville Sunday, not to cut you off, so that's a win.
That's a win.
They're 6-3. They're 6-3.
So, not that I'm.
That is so disrespectful.
But it's true. I mean, it's true.
Sometimes the truth hurts.
There's certain wins you can count on putting a W by, and that right about now is one of them. And I think they're extra motivated, obviously, with the issue with Pagano not being there to be, they're inspired. Andrew Luck is, for what it's worth, are they saying right now his stats are the best for a rookie in the NFL?
The real deal.
What they were asking about is who gets the rookie award this year? Is it RG3 or is it Andrew Luck? And then they had to kind of fluff up the RG3 thing by saying if you took away his 6 interceptions, he really would have a 74% passer rating opposed to his 68%. See, kind of trying to fluff the thing up.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. I mean, Luck obviously is the real deal. It's working. I don't know if I can see him in the playoffs, but it's midseason.
Fruit?
Yeah, I think they can make the playoffs. It's making the Bears win over them look a whole lot better. People talk about the softness of the Bears schedule. It all comes back to the Bears for me. But people talk about that. That win looks real good right now with the way Luck is playing, the way they were able to neutralize him. Granted, it was his first game and all, but that's a lot of yards passing for 23 points. I hate to nitpick at him like that, but to only get 23 points out of 433 yards passing.
Their schedule is kind of rigorous. I mean, you're right. They get Jacksonville, but then they get New England.
Loss.
They get Buffalo.
Win.
That's on the fence. They get Detroit. Detroit will be desperate. They'll be desperate at that point to win that game.
They're going to lose that game.
Tennessee.
That's a win.
They already beat Tennessee.
They already beat Tennessee.
Yeah.
Houston.
That's a loss.
That's a loss.
Kansas City.
That's a win.
Houston.
That's like
They
playing
get
high
Houston.
school
They get
football.
Houston twice again. So
They might get 10 wins,
It's possible. I
9-7,
mean,
10-6.
which from last season, I mean, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And Miami, the whole story with this game before, I'm sorry, but what Terry Bradshaw said about Mr. Reggie Bush.
Oh, yes. I did see that.
Freudian slip of the tongue, saying he was on that touchdown when he said looked like he was chasing a bucket of
fried chicken.
Yeah.
You know Terry.
You want to cut some slack since he's a country boy?
No.
You know Terry.
Get the rednecks off my TV.
You know Terry. It's not Notre Dame. It's Notre Dame. Notre. They say, where you from, Terry?
Notre.
Terry.
Get rednecks off of my TV.
I don't really have too much more to add other than, this whole RG3 Andrew Luck comparison coming into the season. And RG3 obviously came out the gate, but with a completely different team and under different circumstances. So then all of a sudden people were like, oh, RG3 got no respect. And don't get me wrong, I love RG3, and he's struggling, doing what he can in Washington right now. But I do think that it's nice to see Andrew Luck finally, kind of turn into the quarterback that everybody kind of thought that he would. It just took a little bit of time when you come in with a team that was, the laughingstock of the NFL last year. So.
And think about it, they rebooted that team. I mean, just about everybody is gone. Mm-hmm. His veteran center was gone in Jeff Saturday in Green Bay. They let go of Dallas Clark. I mean, everybody pretty much was disbanded on that squad.
Only one left is Reggie Wayne. Reggie Wayne's having a good season.
So even with that, we all kind of said, is it possible with all those players gone for Luck to have the kind of success he's had? And I think he surprised a lot of people at this point.
They all had to figure out how to play together.
And it's respectable.
Yeah. And then, of course, they have the whole Chuck Bacano thing. And he showed up in the locker room and gave him the whole impassioned speech at the end.
Yep,
had the whole country crying. All right.
Yes. Next game, Denver 31, Cincinnati 23. Peyton Manning 27 of 35, 291 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Eric Decker got down 99 yards and 2 interceptions. That one interception was unbelievable, too. Touchdown, was unbelievable. Andy Dalton 26 of 42, 299 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. A.J. Green, 99 yards with 1 touchdown. Now, Farouk, we always come back and forth with Peyton Manning. One hit, you never know. But he's doing his thing. Yeah. And Denver is looking really, really good. And I believe they are now the leaders of the AFC West.
Oh, yes, they are. They're going to win that division easily. When you look at San Diego, Oakland, and Kansas City, wow, they could win out, honestly. I don't know if Maya is pulling their schedule up, but I could see Denver with at least 12 wins. They're 6-3 right now.
That was a hint, Maya.
I am. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I
knew
you know that's my boy.
No. I saw her going to work on the phone. I already knew. That's the Stats and Stilettos energy right here. But
right.
Cincinnati, they never beat good teams either. They're kind of like Atlanta light. They get all their wins against punks. A.J. Green and Andy Dalton, that's a nice combination. I'll give him that. A.J. Green with 7 touchdowns in 7 straight games, 7 touchdown catches in 7 straight games. So besides that, this isn't a surprising outcome. Peyton Manning, though, when he throws picks, he really throws them like he throws bad-looking interceptions.
When they're bad, they're bad.
Terrible.
And they're just terrible. But he's doing exactly what people thought he wouldn't be able to do, which is by midseason.
Stand up straight.
That's one. And he's getting back to Peyton Manning form. And I don't know why people even – see, Peyton Manning, I always say, is a talented football player. It's not about systems with him. I say you can put him anywhere and he's going to be able to play football. I question others that they say are greats if that's really the case.
Are you talking about Tom Brady?
I didn't say that.
I'm going to say that.
But honestly,
Tom Brady.
I'm just saying, for what it's worth, I know he's got a lot of hardware. But if you put Tom Brady on the Dolphins, is it still the same Tom Brady? I'm just saying, is the talent level the same? I just don't think it is. And that's why we put Peyton Manning on Mount Rushmore when we talked about that 2 weeks ago, because of what he does to the game, even with 1 ring. But when you talk about their remaining schedule, they've got Carolina.
Oh, that's a win.
Cam has something to say about that.
What?
I don't know.
It's everybody else's fault.
No, but he's taking suggestions if you do have something
suggestion
to say.
box.
That's what he's going to, yeah.
The Cam suggestion box. San Diego.
I should have been that for Halloween. Sorry.
The Cam suggestion box?
Yeah.
You sure you want to do that?
Let's see. Kansas City.
That's a win.
Tampa Bay. Oakland. Baltimore.
Ooh, good game.
Where is that? Really good game.
That is at Baltimore.
Ooh.
Cleveland.
That's
really? They actually play
Cleveland.
And they wrap up the season with Kansas City at home. So realistically, schedule-wise, just by strength of schedule, it's doable. And you're right; they are 5-3, leading the AFC West.
I wouldn't be shocked at all if they went out. Honestly, with that, hearing that Baltimore, they can beat Baltimore. Baltimore isn't that good. They're good, and it's a road game, but they can win that game.
Yeah.
All right. We'll be back. This is Stats and Stilettos.
Hey, come back.
The Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Join me, Mark Wallace, every Monday from 7 p.m. till 10 p.m. for The People's Show as we seek truth, justice, and equality. We'll bring you all the latest updates on our elected officials keeping them honest to to serve we the people. The People Show every Monday from 7 p.m. till 10 p.m. right here with me, Mark Wallace, and you on the Talk of Chicago's 1690 WVON.
Technology Monday is back. Thanks to our friends at U.S. Cellular and their partner Motorola, listen every Monday at 8:30 a.m. as James Andrews of SocialPeople.tv introduces you to the latest gadgets and gives a 411 on all things tech. Listen to the Matt McGill Morning Show every Monday at 8:30 a.m. for Technology Mondays, an exclusive feature of WVON, brought to you by our friends at U.S. Cellular and Motorola. We're smart radio for smart people. WVON.
Here at WVON, when you tune us in at 1690 AM, the radio station sometimes sounds like this.
Gary Small's in the house every morning at 9.
And when you go under a bridge or if you're in a large building, it gets worse.
You don't want to miss the governor of talk radio, Cliff Kelly, today at 3.
Well, we figured out how to solve the problem. It's simple. When you listen to WVON using WVON.com, we sound like this.
Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Chicago, WVON 1690.
And when you download the iHeartRadio app to your smartphone or tablet, we sound like this.
You want news? Tune in to the Matt McGill Morning Show.
WVON, available everywhere. The Talk of Chicago, 1690 AM, WVON.com, and on your smartphone or tablet with iHeartRadio. Warning. Studies suggest listening to WVON will make you smarter, healthier, self-confident,
what happened to me?
Beautiful,
Girl, I know I look good.
run faster, and jump higher. Results may vary depending on the individual.
Hey, hit me with the stats.
Of course, Stats and Stilettos, WVON 1690.
Welcome back to Stats and Stilettos right here on WVON 1690. We have Maya Akai, Fruit Bashir, and Ty Eileen. I am Damon Spruiel, your moderator for Around the League. Let's go ahead and hop back into these games. Pittsburgh, 24. New York Giants, 20. Ben Roethlisberger, 21 for 30. 216 yards with 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. Isaac Redmond, 147 yards with 1 touchdown. Man, I should have kept him on my fantasy team. Eli Manning, 10 for 24, 125 yards with 1 interception. And Victor Cruz did his little thing. Victor Cruz with 67 yards. This is a very good game, Maya. I kind of feel bad because I kind of fell asleep on it, but I've been up long days. I got a baby. But Ben Roethlisberger, man, yeah, I will. Ben Roethlisberger able to get this team together, get the game together. They was trailing, but they was able to pull out a win against the Giants. At home.
This is one of the first games that Pittsburgh finally looks like the wheels are moving. Like they look like they were hitting on all cylinders on defense and offense. Whereas this was one of the first games you saw, New York in a couple weeks that they looked kind of just blah. Not to say that's why Pittsburgh won, but it looked like, Pittsburgh was really moving forward and getting things done. Roethlisberger looked far more agile, even though there are times I question with him how much gas he still has left in the tank, because everything with him looks laborious to me.
Ben?
Yes, he looks laborious when he works. He just does to me. And it could be,
I think it's just because he's big, and
yeah.
it looks like he's like an
Like
ogre.
that to me.
it could be
he's moving in
his
slow
injury.
motion.
He just looks like everything just is moving slow with him. But this is the first game I can honestly say that the Steelers have looked good on the field. They looked like they were dominant, and that's something that obviously at the midway point, which I say this is the time you want to see teams making that turn to do things that they haven't been doing in the first half. The Giants, not really worried about it. It was a good matchup for them. They still played well, but they lost, obviously. So
Steelers defense played very well today.
They
to
did.
hold
They did.
Eli Manning under 50% completion percentage and only 125 yards passing, and you were hearing a lot of people kind of starting to say, do the whole comparison with he and Peyton. Like, is Eli actually surpassing Peyton and all this nonsense?
No.
But you hear
But people
that
say
every now
it.
and then.
Because they need something to talk about.
Yeah, because they have the same last name.
Right. They know.
But Pittsburgh, this is how they look when they win titles. They get big running games from guys you never heard of, and they get great defense, and they get Roethlisberger doing his thing. So,
And without Palomaro, too.
yeah.
He's out. Because I got quite a few plays out, Ty, for the Steelers, and they was able to pull it off.
Yeah,
It was a good game.
It was a good game. There was a certain point during the game where it did kind of seem like maybe the Steelers were falling apart a little bit, just because of silly plays, interceptions, things that just look like.
And the field goal fake, that was so dumb. They were lucky to get away with that.
That was bad.
They were lucky
So
to
the
get
looks
away
on
with
their faces was kind of like, did you just give up? There's still time on the clock, and I think a lot of it is Tomlin. He just no.
Coughlin?
Yes. I just need to your face. Like I can't.
Does he need to smile a little bit more?
No.
Okay.
I can't explain it, but it did seem like they had completely lost their confidence at one point. So the fact that they came out and won this game was kind of like, all right, thank you. Somebody said something.
Real quick, just one word answer if you believe this. Hurricane Sandy, do you think that had any effect on the Giants not being able to keep their natural routine? A lot of things going on, probably family members trying to get through the hurricane. You think that had anything to do with that? With the loss, possibly.
Let me just be a little over the top with this.
But the hurricane went to Pittsburgh too. So.
Okay.
I mean, I know it wasn't as bad.
But these are people that technically have access to resources that can function a little differently than the average Joe.
True.
So they obviously would have the ability to put their families on a plane and get them out before. I mean, everyone knew Hurricane Sandy was coming. Like, it wasn't like.
But I'm saying routine. I'm saying your routine is broken.
The problem is a lot of people didn't take it serious because of the hurricane from last year, and they were like, "Oh, it's going to be all this damage," and then it was kind of like it swept through like somebody just blew on a feather, and it was like, so a lot of people really didn't leave, and unfortunately, even people with a lot of money are extremely affected, especially the ones that were living in Manhattan.
Oh yeah,
Manhattan,
living in these beautiful high-rise buildings, couldn't get downstairs because the water was too high.
But these were also the New Yorkers saying, we're New Yorkers and we don't leave. Okay, now you go ahead and stay, because at that point they had shown before it even hit New York how bad it was getting. Right. I mean, it was apparent this was going to be an issue by the time it was landfall in New York City. So it was a choice for people not to go. I'm sure it interrupted them a little bit to a degree, but like I said, they have the ability and they have access to resources to get their families where they needed to be.
Okay, all right. Just want to throw it out there.
Well, Pittsburgh had to deal with it too by having to fly in the morning of the game.
True.
So I think it was equal parts.
Equal parts.
It wasn't that far of a flight though. It wasn't like cross country.
It's another routine
Ty,
broken,
how long a flight is that? Maybe it's
maybe an hour.
But it's another routine broken. Who flies in on the morning of the game in the NFL?
That's true.
Yeah, nobody. Nobody does
it was a short flight though. Come on now, people.
Hop, skip, and a jump.
Come on now.
All right, next game. Going to see this team next week. Houston 21, Buffalo 9. Matt Schaub 268 yards, 2 touchdowns. Arian Foster 111 yards with 1 touchdown. Ryan Fitzpatrick 239 yards, no touchdowns and no interception. I guess he had no interception, so I guess that's kind of good. And C.J. Spiller only had 39 yards. So we're going to see this team next week. Farouk put up 21 points against Buffalo. Everybody thought Buffalo was going to be somewhat okay, but they didn't do it.
My problem with Buffalo's game plan, you have C.J. Spiller and Fred Jackson, and you run 12 times combined. They each get 6 carries.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You're throwing the ball 38 times with Ryan Fitzpatrick. Run the damn ball. What's wrong with that? You got 2 explosive running backs.
2 words. What are those 2 words?
Chan Gailey.
That's all I'm going to say. Don't even ask me what I think about this, because it's 2 words, and it's Chan Gailey.
Ty?
Well, on that note, I mean, really, I don't really have anything to say as far as Buffalo is concerned. I mean, they haven't exactly been on people's radars, but Houston, on the other hand, has. So, I think I would have expected maybe even the score to be a little bit higher. And just also because today there just seem to be so many high-scoring games, so why not? But, yeah, I don't really have anything much more to add to this than
I cannot wait for this game next Sunday night. We'll be on the air, so we'll kind of be like, if you hear any pregnant pauses next Sunday, just know we're sitting here watching the game just like you guys out there listening to us. But the Bears,
I don't think you're supposed to tell them that.
But they'll know. But playing against a team that runs the ball as exceptionally well as Houston, and then you have the Andre Johnson factor, which the Bears should be able to prepare for. Now they have Brandon Marshall, so it's like a mirror image in that aspect, and kind of somewhat at the running game. Not really. I'd take Arian Foster over Matt Forte, sorry. But these 2 teams aren't that different when you start looking at stuff, and I really can't wait for this matchup.
I think if the Bears defense can put the appropriate pressure on Matt Schaub, that will be the difference maker. If they don't let him get comfortable in the pocket, that will be the difference maker in the game. Now, this is like that, defense-offense matchup that I think could be a huge, like getting turnovers and sacks. I think that's a big deal for them.
But that's the difference with Houston. They have an outstanding offensive line.
They do, but they gave up 2 sacks to Buffalo. So why not? You don't think the Bears can get more than that?
I don't know.
If Houston wait a minute, didn't you just say at the beginning of the show that the Bears are like one of the best outside of Atlanta?
Let me finish my point. But what I'm saying, I'm not sure, because Houston is a team that commits to the run. They run the ball, rain, sleet, or snow, no matter what. they're going to keep running that ball. So it might not be a situation to where they're going to get a lot of cracks at getting a lot of sacks. I made that rhyme.
I see you did.
See? But that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying they're not capable of doing it. They're
but
very capable.
But at the same time, the Bears' defense is committed to getting takeaways. So you've got two teams that are committed to do two very specific things that put them in odds. And let's be honest, this wasn't like the best game for Julius Peppers. But if he gets more involved come next week, what he did, and he wasn't, invisible this game. Right. He just wasn't, as active. If the front four put the pressure they need, I don't really see that they can accomplish. I'm not saying they're going to get their running yards. They're going to, because Houston does have the ability to stretch the field. I mean, they're not a one-dimensional team.
No doubt.
They commit to the run, but obviously when you commit to the run and you make it work, it means it does open up your pass game. But I think the Bears have the ability, especially, if I got to give out the Phoenix Award, that's my makeup award for people who come out of the ashes and look good. Charles Tillman has been everything I thought he wouldn't be this season. And I think every team has now been put on notice that the Bears can play those two different phases. In football, defensively, they can get you at the line with front four pressure, but their secondary is no longer the joke that they were last season.
Ball punch.
Okay.
They won't have as many opportunities next week.
What's that game? Whack-a-mole.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I love that game.
Whack-a-mole. All right, next game, Carolina 21, Washington 13. Cam Newton 13 for 23, 201 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 rushing touchdown. D'Angelo Williams with 37 yards. He had a touchdown, too. Robert Griffin III, 23 for 39, 215 yards, and Alfred Morris, 76 yards. Not a very good game for Washington. And Shanahan came out and told them, too, okay, now we just basically trying to see who's going to make the team next year. The season isn't over just yet, Maya, but I wouldn't expect your head coach to come out and say that right now.
Do we know he actually said that?
No, he said that in the press conference. He said that.
I didn't hear press conference.
He said that.
Well, I mean, that's a little premature on his part.
Very.
I was like, if I was a team, I would kind of maybe have an issue with that. I'd be like, really? We're conceding our season at the midway point? I mean, that's a little crazy. I mean, this was like the battle of the black boys today. It was like Cam Newton, RG3. Last year Cam Newton was, the rookie of the year, and everybody now believes that RG3 should be that. And I think that was a focal point of this game. Washington's they're hot and cold. 1 week they can be on point and they're doing things right, and then the next week they're not. And that's just how they've been. And Carolina's been a hot mess the whole season. So I mean, it was just a hot mess game. I don't know.
These aren't the type of numbers that get Cam Newton out of the doldrums, I guess, or out of the criticism that he was getting. He only threw for 200 yards. Only 37 yards rushing. So I was kind of premature to hear a lot of the commentators today on the different post-game shows say, well, now Cam's back just because they won.
Who said that?
I think I heard Dan Patrick saying that.
I heard he got some money on the side, too. That game does not take him out of not performing well for the season. It doesn't.
It absolutely doesn't.
And it's against the Redskins. I mean, not to say the Redskins aren't a good team, but that doesn't get you out of the doghouse of your performance has been questionable all season. That's not the game to do it. Maybe if you play against, I don't know, Houston, New England or Houston or somebody, or the 49ers, and that happens. Maybe we put a question mark behind that, but not really.
Yeah, but not right now.
No.
I think probably Cam Newton came into this game maybe with a little bit of green in his eyes, looking at RG3 like, I used to be you. You'll fall next year too. Like, it just seemed like
they did have that warm embrace at the end, and he told him something in his ear. I'm sure everybody's going to ask him.
Yeah, he probably said, this will be
tear you down next year. Just look at me.
You're right. He was green.
Right. So, and that's really the only thing that I could think of. Brother. And it made me laugh. Like, you're probably upset. Somebody probably put it in the suggestion box.
Brought
like,
it on
I
himself.
Can't let it go.
He brought it on himself. He did.
Oh, man. That's too funny.
All right. And just to wrap up around the league, of course, Chicago 151-20 over Tennessee. Detroit 31, Jacksonville 14.
And that was Calvin Johnson had over 100 yards. See, I'm not just going to criticize. I'm going to give him props when he does something. He's not what people make him out to be, but he had a big game today.
Who, you?
I'm sorry?
What? He's not what people make him out to be.
And what would that mean?
He's not the greatest receiver ever. Greatest receiver in the league.
No one ever said
in
ever.
The league.
I don't.
But
the
way he's pumped up, he's a very good player. But he can be stopped, and he's been stopped until this point today.
Okay, whatever. Move on.
What he has.
Move on, please.
Yeah.
Let's break the numbers out. We are a number show.
Let's go ahead and finish.
Green Bay 31, Arizona 17. We have Baltimore over Cleveland 25-15. Tampa Bay 42, Oakland 32.
A lot of rushing yards in that game from Doug Martin.
Yes.
Boise
Yes, he is getting an in right now. Seattle 30, Minnesota 20. And this past Thursday, San Diego beat KC 31-13, and last Monday you had San Francisco 24 over Arizona 3, and that is around the league.
What's the Vikings' record now? Didn't they got to like a
4-0
start, and now they've come back to earth. So we were talking about them possibly contending with the Bears, the Packers a few weeks ago, and they're done. Arizona was 4-0. Now they have a losing record.
I hope Minnesota actually comes back because I still want the Bears have someone chasing them because I don't want it to get like a days ago.
Everyone does believe that Green Bay has turned that corner, and now we're at midseason. They've kind of,
But Green Bay isn't Green Bay, though.
I'm just saying, people feel that all I heard all today on every analyst on every show is, and if the Bears can beat Green Bay, I'm like, excuse me, aren't the Bears in first place? Isn't that kind of backwards? But people still have that love affair with Aaron Rodgers, and they believe that he is a player that can turn it around.
Double check.
That's right.
And losing Jordy Nelson, I don't know how long it's going to be out. It's going to be huge for the Packers. On top of all the other injuries they have. Yeah, Greg Jennings too.
But you got Randall Cobb out there making that great that catch he made today. So, and then James Jones is finally getting an opportunity to do something. So I don't think they're sweating in Green Bay as far as their receivers go. Bears. I can't wait for that game either. Bears and the Packers in December. That's going to be another war right there. A lot of good stuff. Atlanta winning tonight too as well over Dallas, 16-6.
Oh, they
Cowboys
pull away.
being the Cowboys.
Yeah. Cowboys being the Cowboys. Atlanta being the Atlanta. Winning, dominating regular season games.
And Romo being Romo, complaining.
No more Romo.
You know what's interesting too, real quick before we hop off? Jerry Jones, I believe Bob Costas asked him because Jerry Jones is a GM, and he asked him, would you fire yourself if you could? Or, would you fire if the GM was there? And he said yes. He said yes.
Right.
Wow. But I give
don't you know what that means?
Don't shoot the messenger.
That means an axe is falling somewhere soon if this season does not get salvaged. That's what he's already sending out the memo. If I would fire me, I will fire you.
And Sean Payton's contract is voided.
Yeah. So he's a free man now.
Free agent.
But he says he wants to stay.
But our resident Saints expert, what do you think about him possibly leaving? Do you think they would even let that happen?
I don't think that they will let that happen because the players are doing everything they can to still play for him, and he's not there. And I think it would kill Drew Brees, just bottom line. The relationship between the two of them, I know, but the relationship is a little bit more personal because you had, him come in and believe in a Drew Brees that nobody else believed in, and then they went through Katrina together. So it's just like a lot there. I don't see the city. I just don't. But then again, it is business. So I guess maybe I should say I should hope.
Rumor has it he's going to join One Direction. Have you seen that commercial he's singing?
Oh, yeah.
That British group One Direction he's singing. That's a really cute commercial. It is. It's funny. Well, I think, Ty, I see it your way. It's business, and they got to kind of go along these course of actions just because. But I can't imagine.
Yeah. There's a lot of emotions and feelings involved, and I know it's business, but they've just been through too much. I just don't see it happening.
But hey, Dallas be more than happy to help him because if he becomes on the market, think about the teams that will consider Sean Payton. He's a great offensive mind. don't play, please. I would go lobby that. Yes, have a sign. Hello, and I guess we can kind of start rolling in and talking about we kind of got past that first week of the NBA season and kind of so you got to see the new look Bulls. What's your thoughts? And games that count, because remember preseason, what you saw that didn't matter. So these games count. What's your thoughts?
I am scared to really say what I would want
say
to
it.
say.
Just say it. Just get it out.
But they look good.
Oh, I didn't know you was gonna say that though.
Yeah, they look good. They're playing smart basketball.
They're playing team basketball.
Yeah.
Team
so
basketball.
I'm scared to say it so early in the season, but they look like a Bulls team that we can stand behind, even though we came into the season so terrified with all the movement and no D-Rose. They look like somewhere in there they came together and said, look, everybody has counted us out because one player is gone.
Well,
what do we need to do?
What's their new marketing play? It's Chicago basketball, which is now making that kind of parallel move from it was all about D-Rose last season to now it's Chicago basketball. Yeah. They want you to get reacquainted with team basketball. And actually, at time, I'm going to agree with you on some stuff. The bench mob, yes, has been disbanded, and it's at 2.0. And here's what's different about it, which isn't a bad thing. Maybe they're not as quick with the transition game. I think across the board they struggle with that, even with the starters. But they do have the ability to score more consistently. So they're maybe not as athletic, but they have more consistent scoring.
My best friend, Joakim Noah, is my best friend.
JoJo?
Yeah, he doesn't know it, but one day we'll meet, and I'll say, oh, best friend. Went into, oh, God, who were they playing the other night? Went into halftime with 18 points.
Oh, that was the opener against Sacramento.
Sacramento. Yeah, Sacramento.
When do we see best friend 18 points going into halftime? I was like, I smell you, Battle Cat. I'm going to send him a card.
Battle Cat. JoJo Dancer, your life is calling.
All right, we have a couple of minutes. What do we think about the whole LeBron barrage, particularly the whole
propaganda
commercial?
Propaganda. It's all trying to rebuild that image. You know, he's back in Akron, hugging, kissing his kids, in Escobar's barbershop. You know, he's trying to recreate. He's trying to connect with people still.
He got a new PR person. That's all that was about. Because whoever his PR person was during the decision,
that was his buddy,
led him astray.
That was his buddy who was managing his brand.
I know who his new PR person is. It's that ring on his finger.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, speaking of rings, all the significant others, all the wives have rings. They have replica rings.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Even
if you're not a wife, because Gabrielle Union got one too.
Do you know that if you want one too, you can go to Jostens because they've had the last 4 championships, whether it's Stanley.
Jostens as in like high school.
Class rings. No, really. They design the rings. And so if you want a replica ring, you can go to Jostens.com and get your very own Miami Heat.
Wow.
You know what was weird on one of those commercials when I was watching the game yesterday? They said that you can get a Miami Heat ticket to a game for $10. And I was like, is that standing room? Because where are you sitting for $10? No, it said tickets starting at $10. And the commercial came on 3 times.
Was it preseason?
No, it's like, see your championship Miami Heat team, and tickets start at $10.
Was it warm-ups?
I'm just telling you what it said. And I was like, is it standing room ticket? No.
Well, if you watch the game of theirs on TV, though, like their seats are half full. Nobody goes. And then even in the postseason games, at the start, they're kind of like the Dodger fans of basketball, where people kind of show up late and they leave early.
Huh. I thought people were at those games.
But yeah, in the playoffs.
Or did they start going when they got good?
Yeah, that's what I mean. They got, in the playoffs, more people show up. But if you look at a game.
I didn't know that.
Watch a Heat game this year. You'll see.
I didn't either. I thought it was like a sellout game.
And it looked like the stadium was full to me but I was watching more of the game. So I'll have to pay attention next time. Yeah. But I was like $10 because, a Bad Bulls ticket still costs you over 90-something bucks.
All right. Thanks to Jim Rose from ABC 7 Chicago for joining us and giving us some real good Bears stuff tonight. Very energetic. Liked his energy. Thank you to Mike Powell from Raising the Bar Foundation for coming in and telling us about some good stuff he's doing in the community. Not going out to Evergreen Park. He's hanging around Jackson Park, where we need the help at. Thank you to everybody for listening. Everybody for joining us. Tune in next week.